Terry Sullivan joining us now, our legal analyst. What do you make of at 2:30 they're split, by 3:30 they've reached a decision?
Yeah, it was real interesting, wasn't it? You know, when they came back after that, Monica, they came back again with a question, and they wanted a transcript of the FBI telephone person who checked out where the pings were for his location. I think it just came down to the fact that that they looked at every piece of evidence, and one by one, and whoever was the holdout or holdouts for a period of time, because as you mentioned, it was only barely 2 hours before that,
yeah, before
if that.
It was read, right.
Yeah, and it made it very interesting. But obviously, the people who ended up coming over to the prosecution side decided that that was the right way to go.
Terry, you yourself are a former prosecutor, and they've got to be happy now that even though they had just circumstantial evidence, it was overwhelming circumstantial evidence, and the defense all along made the point there is no DNA, there are no fingerprints connecting this defendant to this crime, and now that we just heard from his defense attorneys, they say, you know, he's disappointed, they're disappointed, but they're hopeful that they'll have a chance on appeal because they feel there are holes in the case.
Well, you know, they're always hopeful at this stage. We've been saying for a long time that there was just a mountain of circumstantial evidence. In fact, Jim McKay said that there was a tsunami of circumstantial evidence. And, you know, as we've talked before today and yesterday and the day before, circumstantial evidence just happens to be something that can be interpreted one way on one side and one on another. That's what made this case so difficult. That's probably why they were split even this afternoon.
Okay.
But eventually, just like any other jury, if they come back unanimous, that's the way it is. I don't think there's that much hope on appeal, because I think Judge Charles Burns, I think he ran this trial right down the middle if I've ever seen one.
Tight ship for sure.
Yes.
Let me also get in Alan Tuerkheimer. He is a jury consultant here in the Chicago area. Helps attorneys assess the jurors they're getting for a case. Now, in this particular situation, we talked earlier when this thing happened at 2:30 that they were split, Alan, and then your feeling was that a lot of times when that happens, they're kind of stuck. But isn't it somewhat surprising that an hour later they've reached a decision and they're ready to go?
It is surprising. When you talk to the judge and say we're stuck, we're split, that's pretty significant. Now, before that happened, there could have been times where the jury was split. It could have been 6-6, 8-4, anything. But to take it to the next level and say to the judge that we're firmly entrenched in our beliefs and we need some help, that is significant. And as you said earlier, it was said that changing a mind or changing a couple minds after that is also noteworthy. Now, there's always, any deliberation consists of a certain amount of social pressure, but after going to the judge, after being sequestered, after going through all this whole grueling process on a nice day in Chicago on a weekend, Mother's Day on Sunday, even if it's subconscious, there is some pressure to
just get
give
it
in a
over
little
with,
bit.
get an answer.
Yes.
And do you feel that in terms of these jurors asking for all this extra evidence, clearly it showed that they were trying to do a good job, but going in, would they have been affected, do you think, by the celebrity of Jennifer Hudson? When you look at jurors and this kind of thing, how much would that have played into it?
They became desensitized to it pretty quickly. I would say during jury selection in the beginning, maybe even during opening statements when she was in the courtroom and Jennifer Hudson testified, her star-studded status was prominent, and there was no denying that. But as trial wore on, they heard the evidence, they heard the witnesses, and everything came to a close. I think it was just she was any other person who lost some really close family members.
And it's interesting, there was no science connecting Balfour to these crimes, but you also told me earlier that a lot of times jurors will go in and they vote their gut.
They vote their gut, and, you know, there are different types of circumstantial evidence. It's not just circumstantial versus direct. In the minds of jurors, there's regular circumstantial evidence, and there's some really powerful circumstantial evidence. And these jurors connected the dots and were okay with the circumstantial evidence in this case.
Marilyn, thank you so much.